All right, friends, Shabbat Shalom and good Shabbos.
Shalom.
All right, it's a beautiful night here in Huntington. Albeit a little warm, maybe a little humid, but it was an absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous day. We're here tonight, and we have our friends Max. Max is back from camp. Yael's back from camp. Lots of people back from camp. So we are grateful and happy that they are here and back from camp. Oh, what a week. What a week. So it's Shabbos. I'm going to take a couple of deep breaths. Take a deep breath in and out, letting go of all of the stresses of the week. Take another deep breath in and out, letting behind all of the things that weighed us down this week. One more deep breath in and out, welcoming Shabbos into our homes and our lives this evening. All right, Nancy, would you like to light candles for us? Bench licht. And you can find the candle lighting, the blessings for the beginning of Shabbat on page 3 for the readings and page 2 for the bracha.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all those who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our day be among those who kindle light. For little Kata Benoi, I will hang you along.
Thank you. Thank you, Nancy. All right, let's turn to page 6. Page 6 will have a responsive reading in English. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship.
May you come all with cares and burden, thanks for to nurture.
May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. All right, let's continue welcoming Shabbat with song. Page 20, Lecha Dodi, comes to us from the mystics of Tzfat, in the north of the Galil and the hill country of Israel. Not quite this time of day. A little bit later, it would be that the Mekubalim, the Kabbalists, would go out into the fields and watch the sun set. They would dress all in white, signifying purity, and welcome the Shabbos queen. And they would sing songs and recite psalms, ultimately creating for us the service of Kabbalat Shabbat. Now, one of the most well-known songs is Lecha Dodi from Shlomo Halevi Alkabates, one of the great Mekubalim of Tzfat. Top of page 20. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibor echad, Yishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad, Ushmaho echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'litila, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki mekor ha'bracha, merosh mikedem mehesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila, lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela, mikdash melech yemelucha, kumitze'i metochachecha, rab lahak shevet V'hu yachamol alaychem la, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela, Hitna'ari me'afar kubi, Lifshi bigdei tifartei chami, Al yad ben ishai beit halachmi, Korma el nafshi gehala, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela, Itorri, Kiva oret kumi uri, Shirdaberi, Kivod Adonai alayich nigla, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela, Lo tevoshi, velo tikolmi, Mahatish tochachi mahatemi, Bachyechesu, Aniyehe ami, V'nihi meta ir al tila, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela, V'hayu l'shimsa shohosayich, V'rahachaku kol mevalayich, Yasis alayich Elohayich, Ki himsos chatan al kala, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela, Yamin usmol tivrotzi, V'et Adonai taharitzi, Al yadish ben partzi, v'nihismecha v'nagila, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela, Boi v'shalom ateret bala, Gaham b'simcha ufsohala, Tochem hunei nam segula, Boi chala, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela. Let's turn the page to 22, and let's read together the outdented paragraph in English, some verses from the Psalm for Shabbat, Psalm 92. A song for Shabbat. It is good to praise Adonai, to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night. With a 10-stringed harp, with voice and lyre together, you have gladdened me by your deeds, Adonai. I shout for joy at your handiwork. How great are your works, Adonai! How very subtle your designs! A brute cannot know, a fool cannot understand this. Tzadik katam ha'yifra, ke'erez balvanon yiskeh shetulim bebeit Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu Yafrichu. O Jinu Neseva Deshenim Verahananim Yiyu Lehagi Ki Ashar Adonai Tzuri Velo Avlatavo. Page 24, one more song in Kabbalat Shabbat. We welcome the two angels who come to spend Shabbat with us. Top of 24, Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, melech malachei amlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Boachem l'shalom malachei hashalom malachei elyon. Mihi melech malachei amlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Barchuni l'shalom malachei hashalom malachei elyon. Mihi melech malachei amlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Seitchen l'shalom malachei hashalom malachei elyon. Mihi melech malachei amlachim hakadosh baruch hu. All right, we have welcome Shabbat, the Shabbat bride and queen is here with us. Let's turn to page 146. Let's ask everyone who can to please rise for Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. You may be seated. Let's read together on page 147 the three English passages near the bottom of the page. Adonai, your majesty is proclaimed by the marvels of earth and sky. Sun, moon, and stars testify to your power and wisdom. Day follows day in endless succession, and the years vanish, but your sovereignty endures. Though all things pass, let not your glory depart from us. Help us to become co-workers with you, and endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. Baruch atah Adonai Ha'ma'ariv Aravim. Top of 148, the second blessing before the Shema. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadita Al kein Adonai Eloheinu V'shochteinu u'meinu Nasiach bechukecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha U'v'mitzvotecha Le'olam ha'ed Ki heim chayenu v'orech yameinu V'orech yameinu Ubahem hege yomam v'layla Yomam v'layla Le'ahavat echal tasir imenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev amo Yisrael Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Ve'ahavta Adonai Elohecha Bechol levacha Ubechol nafshecha Ubechol meodecha V'hayu Advarim ha'ela Asher Anochi mitzavecha Hayom al levavecha V'shinantam levanecha V'dibarta bam V'shivtecha b'veitecha Uvlechtecha b'derech Uv'shokbecha uvkumecha Ukshartam le'ohot al yadecha V'hayu Totafot bein einecha וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Top of page, not the top, the middle of page 151. Let's read responsively in English. We worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all. Before our eyes, there is a vision of perfection, order, and goodness. When will redemption come? Long ago, we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High. Top page 152. Mi chamocha b'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, nohora tehilot, ohosei feleh, malchutecha ra'u banecha, vokeyam lifnei Moshe, zei anu v'yamru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, v'nehemar kivad Adonai et Yaakov, uga'alo mi'ad chazak mimenu, baruch atah Adonai, ga'al Yisrael. Second blessing after Shema, top of page 153, Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Let's read together in English. Give us a place to rest, O God. Shelter us in the long, soft evening shadows of your truth. You are true protection and safety. In your presence we find love and acceptance. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, HaKorei Sukkot Shalom Aleinu, V'al Kol Amo Yisrael, V'al Yerushalayim. Page 154. Vishamru. It's not Shabbat without Vishamru. Verses from the book of Exodus, recalling Israel's relationship and the importance of Shabbat to the children of Israel. Top of 154. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asod et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים V'et haaretz v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. We are at the essential prayer of the evening service, the Amidah, and we're going to chant together 155, a verse from the book of Psalms, and then the Amidah proper, 156 and 157. And then we'll go silently, and you can finish the Amidah on your own, whether reading the Hebrew, the English translation, or offering up your own prayer at that time. But we're going to begin together on 155, and I'll ask everyone who can to please rise. Adonai sifatai tiftach u'viyagi te'ilatecha. Adonai sifatai tiftach u'viyagi te'ilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. El Agadol, Agibor, Handoka, El Elyon, Ohel Chasadim Tovim, Vekoneh HaKohol, Ezocher Chastei Avot V'imahot, Umevi Goel B'nehem, Leman Shemo Mi'ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magid Avraham, Yezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye Metim Atarav L'Hoshia, Mashif HaRuach, U'Morid HaTahal, Mechokel Chayim B'Chesed, Mechaye Metim B'Rachamim Rabim, Zohomech Noflim B'Rofei Oholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Ahar, Michamocha Bal Giborot, Umidom Melach, Melech Mimid Umekayem, Umatzliach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'chayot meitim, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei ha'meitim. So completing Amidah, please continue at your own pace. We're going to turn to 160, and let's read the middle paragraph together in English. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may we all live in such a way that this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Page 163, a little bit of gratitude, a little bit of hakarat hatov, as we learned in camp this summer. Page 163 at the top, let's read responsibly. For the good in us, which calls us to a better life, we give thanks. For the desire in us, which leads us to work for peace, we are grateful.
And
on page 164, let's close out, as usual, with a prayer for peace. In the evening, it is Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Hamcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Hamcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Hamcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Hamcha Tasim Leolam. B'tov beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol eit u'b'chol sha'a b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Hamcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Hamcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. We're going to jump ahead to page 253 for a Mishaberach, one of several types of Mishaberach prayers. This one is for healing, and so if you have anyone that you know who needs a little bit of extra healing, physical, emotional, psychological, please keep them in your thoughts and close to your hearts as we prepare for Mishaberach. Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mekor habracha la'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Let's jump ahead to 258 and 259 for prayers for our community. At the top of 258, the prayer for our congregation. Tom, would you lead that? Would you read that for us?
Yes. Source of all being, may the children of this community learn these passions from us. Love of Torah, devotion and prayer, and support of the needy. May we guide with integrity. May our leadership be in your service. May those who teach and nourish us be blessed with satisfaction. May we appreciate their time and their devotion. Bless us with the fruits of wisdom and understanding. And may our efforts bring fulfillment and joy.
Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levacha b'yirah na'avod. Mari, prayer for our country, please.
O guardian of life, thus says Adonai, this is what I desire, to unlock the fetters of wickedness and unite the cords of lawlessness, to let the oppressed go free, to break off every yoke, share your bread with the hungry, and take the wretched poor into your home. When you see the naked, give clothing, and do not ignore your own kin. If you banish the yoke from your midst, the menacing hand, the evil speech, if you offer compassion to the hungry and satisfy the famished creature, then your light shall shine in darkness.
Shalom, Shalom, Yerushalayim, Yishlayu, Obayich. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May those who love you prosper. Avinu, Shabbat Sur Yisrael, V'go'olo, Barech et Medinat Yisrael, Reishit Smichat Ulatein. Hagen Aleha V'yevrat Chastecha, Ufros Aleha Sukat Shlomecha, Ushlach Uracha V'amitecha, L'rosheha Sareha V'yoetzeha, V'takneim V'etza Toval Milfanecha, V'natata Shalom Ba'aretz, V'simchat Olam Liyoshveha, V'nomar Amen. David, would you lead us in English?
O Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shielded beneath the wings of your love, spread over the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. And let us say,
Amen. Thank you all for reading. All right, friends, Shabbat Shalom and good Shabbos. This week's Torah portion is Balak. Now, you probably don't know you don't remember Balak, but you're going to remember Balaam. And maybe not Balaam, but maybe you're going to remember somebody. Balak is a Moabite king, and he fears that Bnei Yisrael, which is growing stronger as they move towards the promised land, that they will attack the Moabites. And so he sends Balaam. Balaam is a well-known pagan prophet, well-known in his time, and Balak wants Balaam to curse Israel, to put some whammy on them, as it were, so that they either can't attack or that if they do attack, they will lose. And God forbids Balaam to do this and says to Balaam, you can't go. If you go, it's going to be problematic for you, and boy, I wouldn't want to be you. And then God says to him, okay, you can go, but you have to tell them exactly what I command you to say. Now, on the way, Balaam is riding his donkey. And this is a very, very famous donkey, even more famous the donkey in Shrek. And I think they got the idea for the donkey in Shrek from this story, because as they're riding on the road, the donkey stops because an angel has appeared before the donkey. The donkey sees the angel, but Balaam does not see the angel. And so at first, the donkey swerves off the road, which angers Balaam, but they get back on the road and they keep going, and the angel appears and the donkey stops, and this time leans against the fence so that Balaam's foot gets squished. Balaam is not happy at this point, but forces the donkey to go on. And the angel is still in front of the donkey, and the donkey ultimately sits down. Now, all 3 times the donkey behaves in such a way that causes Balaam to whack it. He just kind of tees off on the donkey, smacking it to get it moving. And after the 3rd time, the donkey turns to Balaam, looks at him, and says, he speaks, the donkey, "Have I ever acted like this before? Do you maybe think that there's something wrong, that I don't want to do what you want me to do?" Of course, Balaam is flabbergasted. He's amazed that there is a talking donkey. And then the angel appears. And Balaam sees, in fact, why the donkey behaved in such a way, but does not understand the talking donkey, right? And that's never explained. We know that the donkey behaves because of the angel, but the angel explains, had the donkey not turned aside those 3 times, the angel would have killed Balaam. And the angel reiterates what God said to Balaam, saying, "Go, but say only what God tells you to say." So Balaam ultimately gets to Balak, and he is sent out 3 times to curse Israel. And 3 times, all he can say are nice things about Israel. And the last set of verses that Balaam says is the song that we know as Ma Tovu. "How nice your tents are, Jacob." Ultimately, Balak tries to bribe Balaam, saying, "I'll give you whatever you want. Just go and curse these people." And Balaam says, "Can't. I can only say what God wants." And the final blessing, he doesn't even try to curse Israel. The final blessing is that the Israelites will triumph over all of their enemies, including Moab. And that's the last we hear of Balaam. But at the end of the parashah, the tribes, because they are in close proximity to Moab, they decide that they are going to carouse with the Moabite women. And that leads to idol worship, which gets them in trouble, and a plague is sent to punish Israel. And at one point, a fellow named Pinchas, who is the son of Eleazar, who is the high priest, sees an Israelite going into his tent with a Moabite woman. And he comes in right behind them, and he kills them both by driving a spear through them. And the plague ends miraculously after 24,000 Israelites are dead. And that's the Torah portion in a nutshell. It's a lot of fun at the beginning, gets very serious at the end. There are six new mitzvot, and they're all positive mitzvot. So if you go home and you watch Shrek, know that they stole the talking donkey from our Torah. And I bet he sounded just like Eddie Murphy. Is it Eddie Murphy?
Mm-hmm.
Eddie Murphy, the talking donkey in the story of Balaam. All right, I spend a lot of time, not a lot of time, but I spend time online on Jewish sites reading what's going on in the Jewish world. And there's a really, really good site. It's not just Jewish. It's called BeliefNet. And they are a really, really interesting website. All traditions are represented. They have all sorts of fun things and interesting things to do. And somebody was writing about 5 Hebrew words that everybody should know. All right, so at camp this year, we spent a lot of time with our students. Max will attest, and so will Yael, that we were learning Hebrew words. We learned some new Hebrew words every day. And you can never learn too many Hebrew words. Just so you know the history of Hebrew, Hebrew was dead for about 2,000, maybe 3,000 years. It's the language of the Torah, but Hebrew died. We don't know exactly what they spoke in biblical times. It was some sort of a Hebrew. It was a Semitic language. But Hebrew died and was replaced basically with Aramaic. Aramaic was a dialect of Hebrew, and that became the spoken language of the rabbis in the Talmud. And then, of course, Greek becomes a language of the Jews when the Greek influence rolled through. Latin never really made it as part of the Jewish vocabulary, but Greek did. We have a Greek translation of the Torah, the Septuagint, translated by 70 rabbis. The legend has it that the rabbis were all put in separate places and they all produced the exact same version. Not so sure that that happened, but we do have a Bible that is in Greek. The stories of the Maccabees show up in the Apocrypha, and they were written in Greek. And Jews all the way through the Second Temple period spoke Greek, along with Aramaic. So Hebrew died. It was a literary language. It was a dead language. It's a lot like Latin. And for years, rabbis, when they wrote in Hebrew, would just take sentences from the Bible, sentences from places that they knew, and would just kind of string them together in a way to make sense. In 1875, Eliezer ben Yehuda, if you ever go to Israel, there is a famous street called Ben Yehuda Street. It is named after Eliezer. He single-handedly reinvented Hebrew and brought it into the modern period. He decided in 1875 that Hebrew should be the language of the Jews, and he went about reinventing it. He realized that the grammar had to change a little bit. He knew that there were words that had to be invented. There were ideas that needed to be expressed. And so he reinvented Hebrew and painstakingly convinced people in Israel at the time, Palestine at the time, to start speaking Hebrew. And it worked. Hebrew is the national language of Israel, and it is our official language. The Hasidim, the ultra-Orthodox, refuse to use Hebrew as a modern language. They feel that it is Lashon Kodesh, it is the holy language, and it is improper to ask where is the bathroom in that language. So they speak Yiddish. And in Israel, it makes it very difficult sometimes for them to do what they want outside of their enclaves because they speak Yiddish, but the rest of Israel doesn't. And the rest of Israel speaks Hebrew, and most of the Hasidim won't budge on that. But belief in that thinks that there are 5 Hebrew words that are very important. The first word is shalom. Now, we all know shalom, and we all think that it means peace, but it doesn't. Hello, that's the same, not peace. It means wholeness, fullness, completeness. Comes from the root shin lav and mem, which is shalem, which means whole or complete. And so shalom is not just peace, but why is it used for peace? It's about wholeness and unity. That there's an inner tranquility, a sense of purpose. You have a sense of self-worth, and you're not being pulled in multiple directions. So when you wish somebody a Shabbat Shalom and you say it's a Shabbat of peace, you're wishing them a Shabbat in which they could be at ease, that they could be whole, that they're not pulled in 27 directions, that they're not trying to do a lot of things, that they just have some moments of peace and wholeness. So that's the first word, shalom, which is a great word to know. The second word is a word that you're going to be hearing a lot about as we move towards the high holidays, and that word is tshuva. And it's often mistranslated, wrong word. It's often, it is mistranslated, I'm gonna have to say it, into the word repentance, which is not really a Jewish word. Repentance is more of a Christian word that somehow got adapted to the word tshuva. The word tshuva actually means to turn around or to return. And so we use it when we talk about doing tshuva, or someone who is a baal tshuva, someone who returns, is that we change our direction. We stop going in one direction and we turn around to get back on the right path. And so the idea of tshuva is very, very powerful in Judaism because it's a return to who you are. It's a return to your purpose. You realize that you've been on the wrong path. You turn around to get back on the right path. And it's a beautiful word, the idea of tshuva. The next word isn't a Hebrew word, but it's a Yiddish word and written in Hebrew letters. but it's a beautiful word, and the word is davening. And you'll hear me sometimes talk about daven or davening, and that's the Yiddish word for pray. But the word davening is much deeper than just simply praying. It's to get into the flow of something. It's to not be thinking while you're reciting the Amidah about what you have to do when you get home or about a problem at work. It's when you get into the flow. It's when you get into the very, very essence of the moment. It could be a word for focus, I would imagine, right? Or if you're an athlete or can concentrate, you're in the zone. Davening means in the zone of prayer, where you're actually focusing and getting benefit from prayer. And it's a Yiddish word. It's a Yiddish word. The Hebrew word for prayer is tefillah. The word Adam, often mistranslated as man, right? Adam was the name of the first person created, but Adam actually in Hebrew means person. Not a man or a woman, but an actual person. And it's a beautiful word because it gives us three other important words in Hebrew. It gives us the word for earth, which is Adamah, from which Adam was originally created, the Adamah. And if you can go back with me to the 70s, to really bad television in the 70s, there was a show called Battlestar Galactica. And Lauren Green was the captain, and his name was Adama, which is the wrong way of pronouncing Adama, which meant earth, or the idea that he was going to be the new Adam. Gives us the word dam, which is blood, daled mem, which is blood, and gives us the word red, adom. And I know that Max and Yael learned the color red this year at camp, and that is Adom. So the idea is that earth and blood and the color red are very natural, earthy things. And so the idea of being Adam is that we are part of both the natural and the spiritual worlds. The final word is, for me, up there with the word davening for me in terms of importance. And the word is menucha. And it's not a word that a lot of us know. And some of us know it, but it really means rest. We talk about Shabbat menucha, a restful Shabbat, or a Shabbat of rest. And it comes from the word noach, which means to comfort. So there's something about resting in which gives us a sort of comfort, where we experience a time of just being, right? Menucha is that time where we're not worried about 150 different things. It's kind of like shalom in a way, but menucha is an action, right? It's for us, it's the act of resting. Doesn't mean that we're lazy. It means that we're resting. We're recharging our batteries. And I often talk about Shabbat and rest as turning things off, turning our phones off, turning our iPads off, turning our computers off, not being held enslaved to the pings and the dings and the bells and the whistles of our electronic devices, but a time where we can become a whole, right? Where we can have shalom and menucha, the idea of rest, of shutting down our desire of getting things, of acquiring things, of shutting down it's called, I think in the modern language, FOMA, fear of missing out, right? People are addicted to their phones, and every time it beeps or bings or whatever, they have to look because they fear that they are missing out on something. Menucha, especially with Shabbat, is you put that away. You're not missing out on anything. You're recharging. You're getting back to who you are. You're taking a mental break, as it were. And in terms of Shabbat, menucha for me means it's simply experiencing a day where it is enough that I am, that I have everything that I need at that moment, and I can rest and be relaxed in that moment. So those are our 5 words for this week. Shalom, Tshuva, Davenen, Adam, and Menucha. And think about these words and what they might mean for you. If you found one that you really like, just think about that. Try to incorporate some of these ideas into your lives. And if you don't, I'm not the Hebrew police. I'm not gonna come looking to see if you've enacted any of these, but at least you've increased your Hebrew vocabulary by 5 words. So Shabbat Shalom and good Shabbos.
Shabbat Shalom.
All right. Mari,
Kadoosh.
it's Kiddush time. Yes, indeed. It is Kiddush. And so, I gotta find it. There's Mari, there, he's got the wine. And so I'll ask everyone who can, please rise. Vayehi erev bocher yom hashishi. Vayechulu hashamayim b'haaretz b'chol tzivam. Vayechal Elohim bayom hashvi melachto asher asa. Vayishvot bayom hashvi michol melachto asher asa. Vayevarech Elohim et yom hashvi. Vayikadesh oto kivo Shabbat mikol melachto asher bara Elohim la'asot. Savri Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav b'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava u'ratzon inchilanu zikaron le'maaseh bereshit ki hu yom tefillah lamikra'ei kodesh zecher l'tziat mitzrayim. Manu v'charta, Yotanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, v'ahava u'ratzon, inchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh Shabbat. Was a good week for grape juice. All right, friends, we are going to begin closing out our evening service on this Shabbat. On page 282, I'll ask everyone please remain standing for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, la'teit gedula li'yotzer reshit, shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam. V'anachnu korim u'mishpachavim u'modim l'ifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu notei shamayim v'yotzer haaretz u'moshav yikaro b'shamayim imav u'shchinatu zo V'gopei meromi u'Eloheinu einod evet malkeinu efes ulato rakatu v'torato v'anata hayom v'hashivota elev amecha Ki Adonai hu Elohim, Bashamayim Mima'al, V'al haaretz, Mitachat Pnecho. Kagatu b'toratecha Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. V'nehemar Shaya Adonai lamelech al kol haaretz. Vayom hahu yihyeh Adonai echad. Ushemo echad. You may be seated. We extend our condolences to Dennis Hamill and his family on the sudden passing of Bill Hager, who is the father of Dennis's granddaughters, Abby and Josie. We continue to observe Shloshim for Rena Stern and Matt Kolker. This week, we observed the following yard sites: Eddie Hyman, uncle of Jack and Ed Hyman; Ida Kaplan, Etta Steinberg's aunt; Maury Ritter, Charles's son; David's brother and sister-in-law of Rose; Jack Steinberg, husband of Etta, father of Mark, Brian, Paul, Mark, and Adam; Rose Chertow, Bruce's mother; Josephine Carnes, Joanne Gellen's mother; Pearl Schoenfeld Lewis, Walter Sr.'s wife; Shai Selek, Maxine Yeagid's nephew; Reva Jean Smith Meadows, sister of James Morris Smith, oldest daughter of Orrin and Imogene; Gail Weiss, sister of Bernice Stern; Judith Ann Jeffers Smith, sister-in-law of James Morris Smith, wife of Larry Orrin Smith; Mayor Slifkin, relative of Ernest Billig; Noel David Bihar, Tory Witcher's younger brother; Mark Barvin, Martha Weisberg Barvin's husband; Eleanor Lewis, Gail Gottlieb's mother; Owen Stafford. Tom was the son of Orvis and Miriam and the brother of Francis. May their souls be bound up in the bond of peace. May their memories be a blessing to us always, and may they all rest in peace.
Amen.
Mourner's Kaddish is found on page 294. Yitkadal, Yitkadash, Shmei Rabbah, V'alma, Tivrach, Hirutei, V'amlik, Machutei, V'chayechot, V'yomechot, U'chayet, V'kol Beit Yisrael, V'agala, V'zman Kariv, V'yimru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah, V'barach, L'olam, L'omei Maya. Yitbarach, Yishtabach, Yitpa'ar, Yitromam, Yitnaseh. V'yithadar, v'yitalev, v'yithalal, Shmei Kedusha B'richu. Le'elam Yimkol Birchata V'shirata, Tushbachata V'nechamata, Da'amiram V'alma V'yimru, Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chayim Alein V'al Kol Yisrael V'yimru, Amen. Oseh Shalom V'rumav, U'yaseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'yimru, Amen. May be seated. Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and good Shabbos.
Shabbos.
A couple of quick announcements before we head out back into the world. Services tomorrow at 10 a.m. Please join us. Saturday morning services are a lot of fun. Come in, you'll learn some new tunes and new insights. I promise you that. Sunday morning is also not at 9 o'clock, and that is our Sunday morning service. Tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m. at Ritter Park in shelter number 2, the Huntington Abortion and Reproductive Rights Rally entitled Not One Step Back will take place. That's at 3 o'clock, shelter number 2 at River Park. And I will be speaking on a little bit on religious freedom at that rally. Not much, but they have a number of speakers, but they asked me to give some insight about Roe v. Wade and religious freedom. So that's tomorrow at 3 p.m. Sunday at 3 p.m. is our Meandering Through the Midrash. Please join us for that on Zoom. Monday night is our deep dive into Genesis, the story of Noah. We keep plugging away there. We're almost done with Noah, and we will be heading into the Tower of Babel, the great Tower of Babel. Wednesday night, it's the Yiddish choir with the most, the Yiddish choir the best of the Yiddish choir from coast to coast, and that's Wednesday night at 7 p.m. also on Zoom. And then we're back Friday night for more services and more fellowship. So kind of a busy week, lots of things going on. Dennis is shaking his head, yes, 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 and they're keeping us hopping here. Yeah, next week we'll be announcing the new month coming up, which is the month of Av, and then we're in the month of Elul. That's 2 months, and then it's the high holidays. So getting close. No time, and no time like the present to start thinking about tshuva. See how that all works? See that, Dennis? 5 words, and we've used already 3 of them. All right. All right. Let us close out this evening with Adon Olam. Page 321. Adon Olam Hashem Halach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Li'et Nasa B'chepso Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'Yacharei Yiflot HaKol Levahado Im Lo Hoknora Ve'hu Haya V'hu Hoveh Ve'hu Yeh B'tifara Ve'hu Echad Ve'ein Sheni Lahamshilo Lahachira Ve'li Reshit Ve'li Tachlit Ve'lo Ha'oz Ve'hamisra Ve'hu Eli Ve'chad Goli V'tzur Hebli Ve'eit Sahara Ve'hu Nisi Umanosli Ve'nat Kohosi Ve'yomer Biado Avkid Ruchi V'eit Ishan V'ahira V'im Ruchi Giliati Adonai Li Ve'lo Ira. All right, friends, look, we have lots of people saying Shabbat Shalom to us through the interwebs. And let's see who is there this evening. Oh, ML Blazer and Herman. Hello, ML and Herman. And our grandson, Ian, who is visiting. Wonderful. Wishing all a good Shabbat and a week of peace. Thank you to the Glazers and welcome to Ian. Catholic, and there's Mom. They made it back to Pennsylvania. Shabbat Shalom to all from Rabbis Mom and Cliff. Thanks, Mom and Cliff. Back in PA after spending 10 days and my birthday with Rabbi. We are glad that you were here and made it back. Diane Shadows, Shabbat Shalom from Diane and Steve. Thank you, Diane and Steve. Good to see you. Wishing all a good Shabbat and a peaceful week. A belated happy birthday to Kathleen. That would be my mom, unless there's some other Kathleen. Glad you and Cliff were able to spend your birthday in Huntington with Rabbi. Nope, I think Diane meant my mom. And David Johnson, peace and joy to all this Shabbat. Thank you. All right, everyone. Shabbat Shalom, good Shabbos. Hope to see you here very soon. And be careful out there.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Wow.